Hey everyone, welcome back, or welcome if you're new. Thanks for being here. I've got a few real awkward stories to share today, so get comfortable and let's get into it. I was out doing regular grocery shopping, nothing special. When I came back to the parking lot, I walked up to my car, grabbed the door handle, and tried to open it. It was locked. Instead of thinking maybe this isn't my car, I just tried again, like the car was the problem, still locked. For a second, I actually got annoyed, like why is my own car suddenly acting like it doesn't recognize me? Then I made it worse. I pressed the unlock button on my key fob. In my head, I was already sitting inside that car. Nothing happened, no lights, no sound, no reaction at all. That's when my brain finally woke up. I actually looked at the car and noticed a small sticker on the back that I definitely don't have. Then I looked inside and the stuff in there wasn't mine either. My stomach dropped. I realized I'd been trying to open someone else's car like it was mine. And of course, right at that moment, I looked up and saw someone nearby watching me. Not dramatically, just standing there, clearly trying to figure out what I was doing. I tried to play it off like nothing happened, did that awkward little laugh, that fake casual move where you pretend everything is totally normal, but there is absolutely no cool way to do that when you're standing there with your hand on a stranger's car door. My face felt hot. I could actually feel my confidence leaving my body. I started walking away and immediately realized I was walking way too fast, which made it look worse. So I slowed down, which somehow made it even worse. Now I just looked suspicious and confused. Turns out my actual car was only a few spots away. I pressed the unlock button again, and this time I heard the beep from the other side of the lot. I turned my head and there it was, my real car, just sitting there like it had been watching me embarrass myself the entire time. So I had to walk back through the same area and get into my actual car like nothing happened, even though internally I was dying. So yeah, that was my TIFU. I walked up to the wrong car, tried to open it, even hit the key fob, and almost got myself labeled as a car thief for absolutely no reason. Moral of the story, I need to stop living on autopilot because autopilot is apparently trying to get me arrested. All right, here's the second story. This didn't happen today, but it did happen. My girlfriend and I were both 23 at the time, and we're pretty experimental when it comes to sex. We're the kind of people who will try almost anything once. Some things, though, we definitely won't be trying twice. Over the summer, we were staying in a remote house for our anniversary weekend. Since we were completely alone, we decided to have sex outside. And because we were already outdoors, we thought it might be a good chance to finally try peeing on each other, something we'd been curious about for a while but avoided because of the cleanup. Well, when she went to pee on me, some of it accidentally ran down onto my face and into both of my ears. At the time, it didn't seem like a big deal. I just shook it out and we kept going. Here's the important part. I've had eustachian tube dysfunction since I was a kid. I've had 12 sets of ear tubes and lifelong ear problems. That's going to matter in a second. Apparently, when the pee got into my ears, it traveled through the tubes and settled behind my eardrums. I didn't realize it at first, but it caused a really bad infection, one that survived 5 rounds of antibiotics. Eventually, my ears were so messed up that I had to have surgery. My girlfriend felt pretty bad about it, but honestly, I mostly find it funny now. I mean, piss-induced surgery. That's a sentence I never expected to say. The doctor told me this would be probably my last set of ear tubes because of the damage to my eardrums. He said I won't be able to get another one. He also said that before I turned 30, I'll most likely need my eardrums removed and reconstructed entirely. But hey, it was kind of worth it. That day was some of the best sex I've ever had. And just to be clear, I'm a girl.
Yeah, after that last story, I realized my life might just be a long series of very unfortunate decisions. All right, here's the third story. So by the end of the week, I had a small but very cold screw-up, and I figured the internet might as well laugh with me. I've been insanely stressed at work lately. Winter weather has kept me from being on site, so I've had to do what I can from home. Because of that, I'm about 3 weeks behind on my tasks, and with conferences coming up, I've been one minor inconvenience away from screaming into the void. Yesterday, there was a large item in my workroom that I could not stand looking at anymore. I decided to take it out to the shed just to get it out of the way. When I got there, I noticed the shed's door handle, which is already terrible, seemed frozen, but the door was unlocked, so I set the item down and went back inside. I had way too much to do to deal with it. Normally, the shed stays locked, so I was confused about why it wasn't. I did what I thought was the sensible thing and locked it, figuring I wouldn't be back out there until the earth thawed.
When I went back inside, I stopped by another room to ask a coworker a question and accidentally interrupted their meeting. I felt awful about it, so to make up for it, I offered to take their large items out to the shed at the end of the day. I figured it would take something off their plate. The rest of the day was pure chaos. I was scrambling to get a mountain of tasks done and was so stressed that I could barely focus. Later, when it was time to take my coworker's items to the shed, another coworker offered to help. I agreed and went back outside, only to find that the shed door was frozen shut, which, of course, I already knew. I stood there in the cold for a good 2 or 3 minutes trying to unlock it. I got frustrated, jammed the key into the lock a few times and thought, great, just one more thing to stress me out. And that's when the door finally unlocked. At the exact same moment, a massive avalanche of snow slid off the shed roof and dumped straight onto me, down my sweatshirt and inside my clothes. Normally, I would have been furious, but my coworker and I just burst out laughing, and honestly, I haven't stopped laughing since. It was a pretty good reminder to not let work stress take over your life and to not take everything so seriously. At this point, you'd think I'd start paying more attention to what's happening around me. Apparently not. All right, here's the next one. As tradition goes, this didn't actually happen today, but it did happen this week, which is better than a lot of posts. Last Thursday, my furnace stopped working and ended up flooding my basement. I was working from home, so I caught it in time and shut the water off before things got too bad. After work, my dad came over to see if we could fix it. Luckily, it turned out to be just an overpressure valve, so it was an easy repair. Still, no screw up at that point. Honestly, I was just relieved to have heat again because it's been absolutely freezing this week. To thank him, I took my dad out to eat at a restaurant right down the road from my place. There was a really cute waitress who seated us, and since the restaurant was slow, we started chatting a bit. In my mind, it was just normal small talk, nothing unusual. We finished our meal and headed home. And that's where the screw-up actually happened. Today, I was driving home from the gym and called my cousin to catch up. During the call, he randomly started giving me a hard time about being completely oblivious. I had no idea what he was talking about. Turns out, he had talked to my dad. Apparently, my dad told him the waitress had been flirting with me pretty hard, and it went completely over my head. My dad thought it was hilarious. Looking back, I honestly don't know how I missed it. She was definitely dropping hints. I think I just immediately put her in the category of out of my league and assumed she was just being nice. Now I'm kicking myself over it. I've been in a pretty long dry spell. She was totally my type, and we actually seemed to vibe really well. Feels like I wasted a solid opportunity because of my thick skull, but hey, c'est la vie. After that, I realized I don't just miss hints, I also managed to embarrass myself in entirely new ways. This next one happened just last night. Last night, I went out to support my friend's rock band at a small but completely packed venue. There had to be over 300 people inside. It felt like being crammed in with sardines. Before my friend's band went on, while the opening act was finishing up, I decided to grab 2 beers and a plate of nachos. I was fully vibing. Good music, a nice buzz, and nachos, perfect combo. The only problem was there was absolutely no space to move, shoulder to shoulder, no wiggle room, and somehow I managed to get queso all over my hands and even my face. Now, for some context, I've only been to this venue once before, about 2 years ago. Most rock venues I go to have terrible bathroom setups, usually just a couple of unisex stalls. So I started pushing my way through the crowd, desperate to clean myself up. Eventually, I walked into what I thought was the line for a bathroom stall. Turns out, it wasn't. I had actually walked straight into a private women's restroom. At first, I just thought it was strange that only women were waiting. I kept walking past them toward the sink, going deeper into this very cramped bathroom, still completely oblivious. Then a woman looked at me and said, "Excuse me, can I help you?" That's when it finally clicked. I froze, looked around, and said, "Oh, this is the women's bathroom, isn't it?" She just stared at me, full death glare. I immediately felt my face turn red and backed out as fast as I could, trying to look as non-threatening and apologetic as possible. Eventually, I found the men's bathroom hidden on the opposite side of the venue. It was an honest mistake, but the damage was done. The rest of the night, I couldn't stop overthinking it. I kept worrying that people thought I was being creepy, even though I was really just a socially awkward guy covered in cheese. It completely killed the vibe for me, and I couldn't focus on the show for the rest of the night. All right, that's all for tonight. Thanks for watching, it really means a lot. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a comment or come back for another one sometime. I'll see you in the next video.